All right, everybody. Thanks for jumping on the Health and Wealth Apex team call. We are beyond honored today to have executive board member of FFL Legacy Protectors, Jordan Lowry, one of my favorite people to listen to on podcasts and trainings, and just a guy who just totally crushes it. How you doing today, brother? Welcome.
Thank you so much, man. I'm doing well. I'm never better. And I'm actually excited to, dude, I mean, I love Steve, like YouTube, when it comes to YouTube, like it's funny because me and you have only talked maybe 5, 10 times, but the amount of YouTube I've listened to of you is thousands of hours and a lot about setting the stage and selling. And so I just love how YouTube University really gives us the tools. So dude, I'm thankful to be on this with you, and I appreciate you asking me to help you guys out.
I appreciate it, man. And thank you so much for that. So wanted to jump in, kind of, we'll get a little bit into your journey and what you did kind of prior to FFL, what brought you here and what you saw at the time. And then we'll kind of get into kind of what it's become.
Yeah. So prior to FFL, I had done a little bit of everything. And when I say that, I mean, I had done a little bit of sales. I had done a little bit of serving. I had done a little bit of independent contract work. I had done a little bit of network marketing. I had done a little bit of everything, but I had never had really any success at anything. Not that I wasn't like successful or thought that, but financially or when it came to jobs, like I would get bored after 3, 4, 5, 6 months or a year of things. And I knew that there was other challenges I wanted to go on or whatever, and so I consider myself unemployable, certifiably unemployable, but really it wasn't because of the success that made me unemployable. It was just I wanted to create a life and a future I didn't want to escape from. So if it was something I wasn't enjoying, if my work didn't feel like, I guess, purposeful, then I didn't want to do it. So, but I wasn't, dude. I mean, I was at, 3 months before this, I was crawling under mobile homes, doing after a house would sell, making sure the suspension was good. So I was doing grunt type work and really not making any money, 30, 40 grand a year.
Wow. And then you saw this and you started how many years ago? Two and a half?
More than 2.5, just more than 2.5. January of 2019. So this coming up on this last quarter of the year will be 3 full years.
That's incredible. So now obviously FFL from 3 years ago, I know from when I started has just, I mean, it's like a different beast than it was, 2 years ago. When you got going, you started selling. At what point did you say, hey, I need to take this and run with that as a business?
Really, at about 8 months in, 7 months in, I was selling my first 2 or 3 months. I sold about 9 to 10 grand. I was very part time, and then my third month, I sold like a little over 15 grand. And then I was consistently selling like 20 grand a month, 18 to 25 grand a month. My best month, I sold 28, and I sold 28 3 months in a row. But it was really at month 8 when was starting to sell 20 grand because I was making like 12,000, 13,000, 14,000 a month. And for me, before I was doing that, I don't forget where I came from. I was making so little, and I never forget of how hard or how challenging sometimes in the marketplace it can be to earn money because people don't just go and give you money. Um, so at month 6, 7, 8, when I would look at my bank statements and my bank statements would say 14,000 for the month, I was like, dude, I need to share this with everybody because there's so many people who were sitting with, like, Steve, when I was selling 20 grand a month, of the 20 families I helped for that month, the 5 I helped a week, probably only one a week made more than 5,000 a month. So I was like, well, we need to be hiring everybody. So in about August of 2019 was when I really started to get serious about hiring. I had about 6 or 7 agents, but in November was when I hired Nina Demjanovic, who really helped us go to a whole nother level. And so, you know, to me, when I started seeing what other people were making and comparing to what other else there was, you know, I got serious about making sure I was that I was tracking where new agents were. Had they bought in leads? You know, did they know what it was like to be an independent contractor? So, and just tracking that in Google Sheets and hiring. But so the first 7 months, though, I was very part-time.
Got it. Okay. So now, what point now did you hire your first staff? Was it at month 8?
Yeah, month 7, month 8, I hired 1 staff. And then I used this, I actually had just 2 staff from senior sales manager all the way up until executive VP. So about 500-600 grand. And at that point, I had really stalled out. Not just stalled out in a sense of growth or new people, but just the excitement and the passion wasn't there. And so we opened a new office in September of 2020. So basically that's month 8 to month like 18 or month 19. And we went from no office space to 2 offices and 2 staff to down to 1 staff and then up to 4 staff. Because the name of the game is how fast can you get people contracted and how fast can you get people buying leads. It's not necessarily about, oh, how great of a trainer or this or that, because people are who they are. You know, like Grady always says, like, do you got the chops? Like, are you going to sit there and dial all day? Do you got the chops to drive around and go 1 for 7, but then pick up your last 2 in a row? And do they got the chops? And so, you know, really the name of the game in growing an agency from 10 to 12 agents to 100 agents is how fast can you get them contracted? So how fast can you, how plugged in can you keep them? So like 24/7, I pretty much have, let me see here real quick. I pretty much always have this up right here on my screen. Let me pull back here. So at fflamerica.com, join private Facebook group, text this, team Slack here. You know, I'm almost always making sure new agents are doing that exact same thing as well. And so, you know, it's how fast can you get them contracted and how much can you keep them plugged in?
Yeah, I agree. So now, you know, you're still in the field at this point and you're contracting and hiring like crazy. You know, how do you manage that schedule? Because that's something that, like, you know, I work on and a lot of people on our team are working on. We're trying to write a high level, pay our bills, pay our business, but we need to put in the time on interviews.
Well,
how did you balance that?
I personally, I did it in between appointments. So when I was running my 15 to 25 appointments a week in between the 8 sales a week, 6 sales a week, I was on the phone. There wasn't one time I wasn't on the phone. If I made a sale, I was telling 10 people about it. If I learned something, I was telling 10 people about it. If I just whatever I was seeing, I was using every waking second on the phone.
Yeah. Makes a lot of
and
sense.
Just, you know, and telling, you know, sharing the good news. You know, I mean, it was a lot, but it wasn't necessarily, I was never great at managing the schedule per se and having that balance. I was just always on the phone sharing good news. And I didn't try to tell people anything about like that I was special. It was just like, I couldn't believe that we were a broker and we had leads. And I literally just drive around and hope people are there. It's like 50-50. Are they going to be there or not? It's almost like blackjack. I'm like, I don't know. We're going to pull up. Let's see if they're there. Let's go fast though. Let's go fast. Let's go fast. And I just had fun with it. Like I was playing a game.
And what I love about you and your trainings and everything is your energy and your passion. It's infectious. And I can just tell by looking and knowing a lot of the people on your team you pass that on. How do you find the balance when you're interviewing to kind of be, you know, talking in the reality of the things that we're going to deal with, the challenges we're going to deal with, but also being that positive spin? How do you find the balance there?
So it's two things, right? For me, Steve, it's every day. It's having perspective. So I have to have a lot of perspective about, you know, it is this good. The more I talk about it, the more I believe it, and the more it becomes true. But I have a process when hiring of asking the same two or three questions and then getting them to the same two or three tools. So if I was hiring you and I was on a call with you, I would say, you know, some of my non-negotiable quick questions and things that I say are like, hey, Steve, I'm pulling up to my next appointment right now. So I'm glad I got you before I'm in there. But I just wanted to learn a little bit about you know, what makes you kind of what you've been doing the last year or two, maybe the last 5 years, what your successes and challenges have been. But really, what makes you think you'd be good at high commission insurance sales?
Makes sense.
And I want to learn a lot about them for 2 or 3 minutes. I want to let them talk and talk, and whatever it is, and because you know, and Sean's getting on. You know, Sean today spoke to me, and we had a conversation about getting to know people more. And I think, you know, my excitement, you know, and just going through the process sometimes can be transactional. So I'm not saying it's the best way. I want to get a lot better. I want to get. I have a burning desire to get better. But I think if you have a process of saying, okay, so have you ever been an entrepreneur, or have you always wanted to be an entrepreneur or be self-employed, or is this something new to you? Oh no, I was a barber. I did this, or I did this, or yes, this is my first time. Okay, are you sure? Because there's new challenges that come with that the first year, 2 years, 3 years. Are you sure you're ready for that challenge?
Great question.
Those are 2, 3 things that I use, and I want to talk to every single person when I'm onboarding them, and that's a conversation and a word. Something I never skip. And just setting the expectation that they're going to have to put, if they have $1,000 come in commissions, 700 needs to go right back into the leads right away. Even if you have other leads, you know, 50 to 70% is going to be reinvested into advertising and leads right away. You're creating a machine. And if you get 1,700, 800's got to go back into leads right away. If you get 2,000, 1,000's got to go back into leads right away. If you get 450, 225's got your first 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Every single penny that you put into advertising, you're going to get 3 or 4 pennies. How many pennies do you want to put in there? And just really just you know, just having those things of getting them to understand that being a business owner is backwards sometimes. You know, being a business owner is backwards sometimes. That's some things that I had to learn too, but I learned slowly. So it took me a year and a half to figure that stuff out. So what I want to tell new agents is I want to share the good news is, you know, what if what took me a year and a half to learn, we could teach you in your first 60 to 90 days and shorten that learning curve.
Yeah. How do you manage that question and that pushback on leads, starting out spending money on leads? Like, how do you present it and how do you manage that? And, you know, how do you deal if somebody, hey, I don't have much, or I don't have anything, or whatever the case might be?
If they don't have anything, and that's where I say was the position I was in, is that they just have to they've got 2 options. They need to work either twice as hard. So 20 to 30 appointments a week is not going to be good enough. They're going to need 40 to 50 appointments a week. It's like, because you need the money. I think Dominic Rogers says that. He's like, you know, you need the money. You got to do 40. You need the money. But, you know, or being, dude, Steve, there's nothing wrong with getting a job. There's nothing wrong with, like, if you needed 90 days, and you know, I don't think we have a handbook on this or a written rule of what this answer is, but if it was me, I would go get a job 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. at a coffee shop or a breakfast joint. I'd be off by noon, and I'd sell insurance noon to 9. And I would do that for 60 days, and that's your lead money, whatever it is. That's your whatever it is. But like at the end of the day, it's the same as when they're studying for the insurance test. It's like, dude, you failed it 3 or 4 times because you didn't know the result was as good as the result is. If you knew the result was as good as it was, you would have gotten you would have buckled down and figured it out. So making that decision.
I like that because you're giving a great solution as to what it would look like to now sacrifice some time to have a greater good and get out of a bad situation. So I love that. So now you have a tremendous amount of incredible leaders that you work with, Nina, and the list goes on and on and on. Do you feel many of them, I'm sure, just emerged? Or what would you say are some of the things maybe you did to kind of maybe pull it out of some people and now they're kind of taking off on their own?
The coolest part, dude, is it was all, I think Paul McLean says like Family First Life is a self-development program, but you get a compensation model with it. And I think most of it is them being, dude, it's their tenacity to get better. It's their tenacity to not take any crap. It's their tenacity to want to get paid the best comp and want to sell more and help more families and build bigger agencies. So I think it's them. I think it's that compounded on being here a year and a half, right? They're not here 3 months, 4 months. Like they're in the prime of their year, 2 years. And so they're growing. Not only their skill sets are so great, but FFL's training. And so they're getting more eyes and more butts in seats and social media. So it's just such, it's Family First Life has such a powerful training system, being remote, being digital, being able to be on the conference calls and training from anywhere, being able to take a flight, write insurance in Ohio and Florida and Kansas in the same week, things like, I mean, it's just, it's them and their ability to market and get people on those training calls. Nina, Hayden, I mean, Hayden's been here for 8 months, 9 months, and he's going to be at 700, 750.
Crazy.
So it has absolutely nothing to do with me, more about the structure and laser focused. Like that'd be like, does Sean help me? Absolutely. He created the system, but it's not just Sean that, you know what I'm saying? It's everyone. I mean, it's Dom, it's you, and so that's our biggest strength is teamwork. Ultimately is knowing when you're messing something up and you're the one messing it up, getting out of the way, remove yourself from the equation.
Yeah. Love that. I listened to a training you did with Grady and me and my managers dissected it. And you talked a lot about, now obviously how your schedule's transitioned, how many hotel rooms you've been in, how many flights you've taken, and how you're getting to your agents. So talk to me a little bit about that transition, obviously from the field, and what that looks like and what that means for those people when you meet with them.
Well, specifically new agents or people that you're hiring off of. Have you ever hired people off Facebook groups, Steve, or off of like sales groups, right? Yep. Like someone like that. Like if I hire you or you hire me and I'm in your state or whatever, like I want to take you to dinner. I want you to realize the things that the potholes I've stepped in, the landmines I've exploded on, and maybe tell you a story so that you can avoid it. Or so that I really do care about you. Dude, I would have killed for someone to take me out to dinner and buy me a nice dinner and mentor me or coach me on mindset. If maybe I said something that maybe that he had that belief before and he was like, oh, I know why he's having that belief, but let me tell you why that doesn't make sense. Like if I'm misstepping, I would have wanted someone to tell me that. So I think showing that you're going to take your time and go spend quality time with someone and buy them a meal and whatever. I mean, face-to-face and handshakes are the real deal. They go a long way.
Yeah, I agree. That's really amazing that you're doing that, and it shows in your business. So now we'll kind of, wrap with this. So where we're at as a company with all the new things that are being added, the producer bonus, the VP bonus is being restructured, so much being given back to everybody with the integrity factor. As you look at where you started to where you're at, like if you could convey to everybody like how worth it is to sacrifice what you sacrificed, how would you put that into words as far as like where you're at, how good you have it today?
Yeah, and I think that with every, it's not about how good, because comparing things like that is what will actually take your happiness away. But financially, I have a barrier around my family that I can take care of them for the first time in my life. I wasn't able to do that. If something would have been $5,000 or $10,000, I was bankrupt.
Mm.
You know, that's how I was. But as far as the amount of freedom, and I guess the word for me is, and I'm dude, I struggle with things every day with everything. I think everyone does, and that's life. And there's different seasons of life too. Like, am I a Christian man? Heck yes, I am. Do I believe in God? Absolutely. But do I need a stronger faith? Yes, I do.
Mm.
And so that's things I have to work on, right? And so, but to have the ability, Steve, to like, man, like, let me put it in words like this: to not have to worry about, you know, moving it from credit card to credit card to credit card and can't even sit down to read because that's how stressed I was before,
Yeah.
to now, I mean, it's just an unlimited amount of cash flow is what Integrity used. And I think we all have an unlimited amount of cash flow in our business, right? Because we could all work if we hired someone or had something we wanted to buy to make our business more revenue. We only have to we only have like I try to look at that my business like that. We have an unlimited amount of cash flow. But dude, I mean it's mental peace, financial peace. I wouldn't even say that I 10x or 20x my situation, because family first life, man, it's 150x my
Mm.
financial security.
Yeah.
Um, I am so blessed, and I want everyone to have that, which is why I'm so freaking passionate about it, because it's not that hard. It's just dialing in alleys, dialing in driveways, posting in Slack, bringing people with you, knowing that you don't have to go do 100K. You don't have to. Sacrificing your life doesn't mean being miserable, but it means being disciplined.
Mm.
And knowing that, it's a lifetime commitment to just learning and doing it better. I hope to be able to bring new people on this business and say, if you do this and this, you can make 200 grand a year. And that's what I can guarantee you can do here. I would have died for someone to recruit me, because that's 4 or 5 times that I made.
Yeah.
So it's like a no-brainer.
Incredible. So we'll end with this. If you're a new agent starting today, what is Jordan Lowry telling them they need to do to sell at a high level and to build at a high level?
Good question. So got to be committed to Mondays and Thursdays being on the phone for 12 hours or until you have your 15 appointments, because 24 hours of this is going to be the phones. You're going to be on the phones, filling up your schedule. Someone asked me, can I just pay someone to fill up my schedule? Well, let me be clear. Filling up your schedule and building an efficient schedule is $1 million skill. Let's get that straight. Building a schedule is a skill.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of this business is going to be growing pains the first 90 days of building a schedule. Now, your first 15 appointments, what I want you to do is go spend 2 to 3 e-apps on SC demo and do some demo apps, so you're not in there like a dead fish flopping around not knowing what to do. But if you do 2 or 3, it's so easy. You're going to get your first 15 appointments, get a financial inventory sheet, and call me. We're going to tell you what they qualify for based on their health. You're going to tell them it's this price, and we're going to go in. It's going to be very conversational. After 15 appointments, you're going to help 3, 4, 5 of them for sure. But after 16 and on, you're going to be pretty good to go. But your first 15, you're just going to learn. So don't be worried. It's normal to not know. But you're going to go in, you're going to fill these out. So just getting them to know that first 100 appointments is good, but the first 15, to not stress. Call me. I'll be here to help you. I want to answer the phone and help you sell insurance.
I love that. Unwavering support. Well, I really appreciate you, my man. You are awesome. You're definitely one of my favorite ones to listen to, and same with my group. And if we can do anything for you and you guys, we are more than happy to do so. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
You got it. I appreciate you, Steve. Talk soon, buddy.
Thanks, bud.